Good afternoon. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm Christian Lindstrom, Chief of Police here at South Windsor Police Department. We appreciate MADD Connecticut thinking of us as a partner to host this important event as we move into the holiday season. As an agency, we've seen a steep climb in DUI arrests and DUI-related crashes over the last 5 months. This climb is summarized by a 111% increase compared to the first half of this calendar year. This troubling trend hits close to home with our police family as we are still dealing with the devastating effects of one of our own, Officer Ben Lovett, being killed by a suspected drunk driver this past summer. Ben, a previous MADD award recipient, was on the front lines of DUI and traffic enforcement and took seriously his responsibility to identify and apprehend violators. We do not want other families to have to experience what Ben's family is going through with the death of their son. With the holiday season nearly upon us, we ask that you plan ahead and select a designated driver before you attend your holiday celebrations. And remember that all our officers will be out working day and night to arrest violators when necessary. The safety of our roadways starts with you, and we hope you will plan ahead and think twice before you get behind the wheel. Thank you for helping us relay this important message to the public. We at South Windsor Police Department hope you all have a happy and safe holiday season. And now, Bob Garguilo, the the New England Region Executive Director, will speak.
Thank you, Chief Lindstrom. Thank you to the South Windsor Police Department for allowing us to be here. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Lovett, Mr. Buckley. We're here because this is an awareness opportunity for us. The holiday time is most critical as far as in one of the leading times of the year when there's crashes involving alcohol and or drugs on our roadways. And one of the leading, or if not the top, season for deaths on our roadways next to July 4th and such. But the reason we do this, it started 35 years ago when MADD worked to get the designated driver instituted. We celebrate the 35th anniversary of that this year. It started with MADD asking that those who drove tie a red ribbon on their antenna. We know antennas have kind of gone by the wayside, so we now have red ribbon magnets, which we're very thankful that South Windsor Police Department will be showing those on their vehicles. What that is simply an awareness tool. So if you're driving behind a vehicle, whether it's a police department or a civilian vehicle, that should remind you that you shouldn't be drinking and driving. But it also should remind you that this is the holiday season, we will be drinking, but we shouldn't be driving. So what it does is, hopefully it instills in you, within yourself, that you should make a plan. MADD is not against the consumption of alcohol, as long as you're 21 and older. We're against you consuming alcohol and or drugs and driving. The chief alluded to the fact that in the last 5 months there's been an increase. Well, during the pandemic year of 2020, there was a 9% increase across the country in the amount of deaths related to alcohol and drugs on the roadway. The first 6 months of 2021, there was an 18.4 increase over the previous year. People are driving intoxicated and impaired. They're driving faster. There's more speeding going on. We can tell that. I just had that happen as I came up here today on 91 North. Everybody seems to be more in a hurry to get wherever they're going. But all this is about is to make a plan, drive safely, buckle up, obey the laws. You know, you don't want that knock on the door. I say this quite often. You don't understand by making that decision to go out with your friends, that's great. But not to have a plan and then get behind the wheel of your car and drive. Whether it's 1 drink, 2 drinks, or too many drinks, it's going to affect your performance behind the wheel, whether you believe that or not. The time to make the decision not to drive is not when you started drinking, well in advance of you going to wherever you may be going, whether it's a house party or a restaurant or establishment. So make the right decision. I I think you can, if you've been following the news in regards to President Biden's infrastructure bill that he signed on Monday afternoon, within that bill, that $1.2 trillion bill, is a bill that will hopefully eliminate drunk driving in the very near future. There's a bill that will mandate every car that comes off the assembly line will have installed, which we'll talk about that in a minute, but installed within it, you can't drive impaired. Now that's not just by the consumption of alcohol and or drugs, it's if you're tired, etc. If your eyes deviate from the road, the car is going to tell you something by either stopping or pulling over or not starting at all. It's not a breathalyzer, it has nothing to do with that. There's three components to it. And the reason I say we'll talk about that, this ability has been in cars for about 14 years, but the auto industry never wanted to be the first to install that, or excuse me, activate it, because once again, it's installed. They didn't want to activate it because they thought they'd be at a disadvantage because there's a cost associated with that. So if it's going to cost you $1,000, nobody's going to option for that car because it costs more than the competitor. So what they said is if you mandate it across the board that everyone has to manufacture a car with the capabilities of ending drunk driving and impaired driving, we'll stand behind it. We're going to fight it. Obviously, fight it like hell, as they did. But it was signed into law on Monday. We expect cars to start coming off the assembly line in the next 3 or 4 years after the language is created from NHTSA, and that's input. Obviously, it's going to take years after that to get every car that's on the road with that technology. And it'll take, obviously, some time for the turnover of those vehicles. But, you know, as I look at the Lovetts, you know, we're here for two reasons. We're here because out of respect for the Lovetts and what Ben meant to this department and what Ben meant to MADD, we felt this was the place to go to kick off our campaign this year, thanks to Chief Lindstrom. We felt so compelled by Ben's work and the work that he did when he was on this earth with South Windsor. We created an educational fund in his name, which we hope will be able to educate through that fund to create enough funds and resources to educate children across the state of Connecticut and throughout New England as to the dangers of not only driving while drunk or impaired, but also of underage drinking. So that's in Ben's name. That's the Ben Lovett Educational Fund, Badge 201 Educational Fund. We're very proud to initiate that program. We're very thankful for the support we received from the Hoffman Auto Group and others to fund this. And it is now already opening doors in Vermont and across Connecticut, and we hope the other states at some point, where we now will get in, whether it's virtually or whether it's in person, but we'll be able to be in front of groups of children, young middle school and up, parents, community groups, youth organizations across the New England. We didn't want Ben's life and ultimate tragic death to end with that. We wanted to carry on what he stood for and the mad hero that he was. Also, I must add, John Buckley here from Buckley, Wynn, and Parisi, we were the first to go to them, and for many years they've supported this, what we call Taiwan On for Safety campaign. Taiwan On taken from the slang that was used in the past when people drank too much. They're going to Taiwan On. We thought it was a play on words. MADD, when they instituted this a number of years ago, it's probably not used as much as it was back then, but it's our TUFS campaign, it's our holiday campaign. And we use the Taiwan On from the alcohol sense to tie the ribbon on the antenna as I started my remarks here today. But just again, thank you to South Windsor PD, thank you for the media for being here, thank you to Buckley, Wynn, and Parisi, who's always there for MADD throughout the year to support our efforts to end this tragic and 100% preventable crime of impaired driving. Once again, We want you to consider the circumstances when you go out. If you're gonna go out, there's Uber, there's Lyft, there's public transportation, there's A-Ride, there's other things that can help you. AmRide, I'm sorry. AmRide will send two drivers, one to pick up your car so we don't have that excuse, as I believe we'll see when more of the Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver information comes out. He did not want to leave his Corvette, allegedly impaired when he was driving 156 miles an hour and killed a young lady. You don't have to leave your vehicle wherever it may be. Somebody will drive it home right behind the vehicle that you're being driven home with. So there's no excuse. And it can't be a cost thing, because it costs money to get impaired, whether alcohol or drugs are involved. It'll cost you a lot more if you get caught, and you will get caught. So once again, thank you to the South Windsor Police Department. Thank you to the Lovett family. Thank you to John Buckley and Buckley, Wynn, and Parisi for all they do. Stay safe, have a happy holiday, but remember to do the right thing. You don't want to knock on the door. You don't want to lose a loved one. You don't want to lose your own life. So thank you. John, you want to say anything?
I'm all set, Bob. Thank you.